Okay, this short little video is designed to acquaintance you with the formatting requirements for Math 31 homework. At first, this may seem a little onerous, but you'll catch on pretty quickly, and it's a way of organizing your work. It'll help me to turn around your homework and get it back to you quicker. So here we go. First of all, I do require a certain paper type and size. You're going to buy a college ruled filler paper, and the filler paper has to be 10.5 inches by 8 inches, which is a fairly common size. The one that I have pictured here is available at Walmart for about 88 cents, and it's available at other retailers also for very reasonable prices. I do not accept spiral bound paper, even if it has a perforation that you can tear out, because invariably people tear it the wrong way. No legal pad paper, and no torn or wrinkled paper. Most of you do pretty well at this, but if it's a challenge for you to hand in work that looks nice, then consider it my privilege to help you with that issue. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is talk to you about the heading, and you see it pictured here. It's extremely simple, and this is the heading for the first page. A couple features on it. First of all, you want the section number and the page number. That's really simple. Section 8.2 is my example here, and I just made up this page. It's probably not on page 348. Okay, the next thing would be your first and last name. And finally here, just a little note that you should start each section on a new piece of note paper. Okay, if you have more than one page, and by this I don't mean more than one side, I mean more than one page that has to be stapled together, then on the second and third and fourth, or however many subsequent pages there are, you want to put the section number and your initials. And if for any reason your page gets separated from what it should be attached to, then I have recourse, and I can figure out who it belongs to and get it back to your packet so you can get credit for your work. Okay, now the more important part is the format of the work itself. I do require that you use vertical formatting, and by that I mean that you put all your problem numbers going down the page, and not just the problems going down the page, but the work going vertically also. I've seen a lot of students try and get away with going across the page. It makes it a lot harder for me to grade if some are across the page and some are down the page, so I do require vertical formatting. The next thing is the whole idea of showing your work. I do realize there are problems where there's no work to show, but that's not the normal case. So I require that you show all supporting work. Okay, number the problems in order, and if you're skipping a problem, like here number 6 has nothing on it, so we can assume that the person doing this assignment didn't know how to do problem 6. You still list it, and it should be in sequence. So you'll have some places where you don't know how to do a problem, and you should list that problem, and it should be blank. There are examples, I have 2 of them here, where problem 16 and 18 there's no work to show, but otherwise, even if you're doing something by hand, and the first part of this course there's quite a bit of handwork, you're going to be showing all of the carry marks and all of the evidence that you actually did it like you were supposed to by hand. Okay, the next thing I want to highlight here is that you can make a second column as long as you keep that second column neat. It looks like I forgot something there. Oh, I forgot to mention, you want to skip a line between problems. And so here you have a page of examples of how your work should look. If you get to any graphing, you need to make those neat and show your scales clearly. And finally, if you need to use the reverse side of the paper, that's fine. Just keep the same standards on the back side also. Okay, a little bit of information about how to submit your papers. The first thing would be, if you have a section that has more than one page, you want to take those pages and line them up carefully. And once you've got them all lined up, just simply put a little staple in the top left corner. I apparently have that set on a very, let me try that again. Put a little staple in the top left corner. I shouldn't have to say this, but I've been teaching for a long time, and I see people put staples all over the place. So let me just show you a bad place to put a staple. If you put a staple, let's say right here, then when I fold the paper later, any problem that's above that fold mark I can't see, and I will be marking them wrong. So it shouldn't have to be said, but yeah, the staple should go within a ½ inch of the top left corner of your work. Okay, once you've got all of those sections attached to each other with staples, the next stage, and this happens on the at the very end, is you line up all of the different sections that you're going to submit, and that gets held together with a paper clip. So I'll be providing paper clips for you, but the reason I do it this way is I will take that paper clip off, and then I separate all these sections from each other and grade them individually, and then reassemble the packet. And it really helps me if I just have them all paper clipped together. So once again, put all the sections together with a paper clip. But if you have a single section with multiple pages, then you want to just put a little staple in the corner. Okay, so that's how you assemble them for final submission. All right, a couple other things here. This is about the due dates. In the past, my due dates have caused confusion, but it basically works like this. Any notes that are finished during the week then become homework that's due on the following week on the first night. So, for instance, I'll show you an example in a minute. But if you're absent on that due date, then you're responsible to get your work in the next night. And then I'd like to highlight this here. Students who miss the due date and the next class period, you're going to receive a 0% grade for that assignment. Now, I will have built in to the grading system a limited number of times that can happen without penalty. So even though you get a low grade, I'm going to instruct the gradebook program to throw out some of the lowest homework scores. And it's only when you've done this several times and you get a 0% grade several times that 0% really starts to add up. Now, I suggest that you not do it at all, because you'd rather those lowest homework grades thrown out not be zeros. You'd rather them be, say 70s or 60s or something that you don't want to count, but that nevertheless, when you throw out, improve your grade. All right, so I'm going to give you one quick example here of due dates, and this is based on a Monday-Wednesday schedule. So in week 5, and this is just imaginary data here, sections 6.2 and 6.3 are covered. And then on Wednesday night, 6.4 and 7.1 are finished, and I may even start 7.2. But if I don't finish it, it doesn't become part of the homework that's due. So then all of this homework here, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.2, 3, 4, and 7.1, becomes due on the first night of the following week as a packet with a paper clip on it on that first night. Now, if you're on a Tuesday-Thursday schedule, then you'll just simply substitute Tuesday and Thursday for these times here, and it would become an example for our Tuesday-Thursday class. There will be exceptions. Sometimes we don't have class on the first night of the week, and I'll change the due date, but in those exceptions, I'll let you know ahead of time. Okay, one last thing here, and this is important to note. You can't hand homework in twice, part now, part later. I have a lot of people want to do this. They get part of it done, and then they want to hand it in dribs and drabs. So pay attention to what should be handed in. Pay attention to the due dates. And whatever you hand in, I'm going to grade. If it's only partially done, then your grade will be low because you're missing work. So make sure that you stay ahead of things. I do suggest that if you know ahead of time what some of those sections are, that you not wait until the last minute or the last weekend or the night before or something to try and get all your homework done. It is actually a lot of homework in this class. I have found that people in this class need a lot of practice, and so there is a lot of homework, and I do respect you for working hard, but I also expect you to work hard. So these are the standards for the homework, and you'll get used to them. I usually have complaints at the start, but once people get used to it, it's usually not that bad. For instance, the heading is so simple, and once you get used to the format, it's actually pretty easy to do it the way I've done. Okay, so that's the homework requirements for Math 31.